Hello, everyone. My name is Royce. I'm the Community Liaison for KI BOIS Community Action. And today I have the honor and privilege to have with us our Executive Director, CEO, Carroll Huggins. And he has been at KI BOIS for a long time, over 5 decades, right, Carroll?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and so he is a mainstay here at KI BOIS Community Action. We couldn't do what we do here without him. And so we just wanted to take this opportunity to do an interview with him and kind of let him explain to you what he does, what his role here is in the agency, and also give you a little insight as to some of his personal history, what brought him to KI BOIS, to tell us about his family and things like that. So Carroll, good morning. First of all, just tell us about your family, where you're from, where you were raised, your education, things like that. Anything that you want the folks to know.
Okay. My dad was a rancher most all of his life, and raised quarter horses and cattle. In 1949, Frank Hightower in Oklahoma City bought a large ranch south of Stigler, named it Farfield Farms. He purchased quite a bit of land around this ranch. I think at one time it was 10,000 acres.
Wow.
And he hired my dad to come down and run it for him. He was a millionaire banker in Oklahoma City and really didn't know anything about ranching or anything like that. But they kind of made the ranch a show place. I lived there from I was in the 2nd grade when we moved here in 1949, and was raised on that ranch. It was an ideal place for a young boy to grow up with horses and cattle and ponds and fishing and hunting and all kinds of stuff, you know. And that's beautiful paradise area. And so I was fortunate to grow up there. The ranch was 13 miles south of town. It was kind of on the borderline between Stigler and Curtin school districts. And the Curtin bus ran about a quarter mile from our house. So Dad sent us to McCurtain school. Okay. And I went to school there from 2nd grade up through the 12th grade, graduated there at McCurtain. Got a good quality education there. Found out when I got to OSU, there were several subjects that I didn't have there, like chemistry and trigonometry and advanced algebra and some things like that I had to catch up on that all of my big city classmates had already done. So I spent 4 years at Oklahoma State University and graduated there. I immediately went to work for Oklahoma City Public Schools teaching math and science. And married my wife, Lana, and we've been married over 50 years. We've raised 3 children, 3 boys. John, who's a highway patrol lieutenant, lives here in Stigler, and Matt is an executive for a computer company in Kenny, Texas. He lives there. I have 2 grandkids there that are twins, a boy and a girl. They're 16 years old. And Mike lives here in Stigler, not too far from us, and he has 2 boys in grade school, middle school, and John has two boys that are grown, and that's my wife's retired. She was a retired teacher from Stigler. She taught 1st grade here and retired. She's also retired as a hairdresser prior to going to college. She went to college after 20 years.
Yeah. She and your boys went to college at the same time, right?
But when my twins, yeah.
Yeah.
When she retired from the beauty shop, she and I were driving down the road here at Stigler one day, and she said, "You know, I'm going to be the only one in the family that don't have a college degree." And I said, "We can fix that." She said, "How?" And I said, "Well, let's run over to Connors and enroll you." And we did.
Isn't that
awesome?
2 years
later, she graduated. She made straight A's, and
And just think of all the kids that she influenced. You know, she taught first grade and so many. And I know she can't go to Walmart or the grocery store without kids coming up and telling them, I miss L. Huggins. Now she's L. Huggins.
Yeah. She had to do that because our daughter-in-law is first grade teacher here too. So.
Yes, that's awesome. Well, I know you have a great family, and I know you're very proud of them, Carroll. They're great people. So before you came to Cowboy, so you taught school in Oklahoma City, and I also know that you have a military background. So can kind of tell us about that, and you know, maybe from that time up to starting your tenure here at Cowboy.
I've got a phone ringing in the background here, so wait a second.
Okay.
That may be the president.
Well, I hope it is, and I hope he's got good news.
Okay. Question again was my military?
Yes.
When I had taught 3 years at there in Oklahoma City, I got a draft notice, and I got a call from a member of the draft board and told me, said, your college deferment has ran out and you're being drafted. So I talked to my school superintendent there in Oklahoma City, and he said, we need to get you in the National Guard. Said, we need you back here as soon as we can. And I said, that's impossible. Vietnam was going on, and you just couldn't get in the military at that time and go in the reserve or guard. But anyway, I joined the Oklahoma Army National Guard, and I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky for my training, and for my advanced training in security, I went to Fort Carson in Colorado. And to make a long story short, I started out as private E1. I was promoted 9 times, and I spent the last 14 years of my 32-year service as a sergeant major in Oklahoma.
Wow.
Really enjoyed that. But I got to do that and work in my job too. So
right.
It worked out pretty well for me.
Yeah, that's the beauty of that, and that's great. And you know, that those Army bases, they're a long way from McCurtain, Oklahoma, aren't they? It makes you know that there's a great big world out there outside of our little bubble that we live in, for sure. Okay, well, so you started to work at Cowboy in what year, Carroll?
Well, Community Action Agencies actually started in 1964. Lyndon Johnson got the Economic Opportunity Act passed, and in our part of the country here, they were little single county agencies. Latimer County, and Haskell County, and Leflore County all had one county community action agencies, and they had some small grants that they got from Office of Economic Opportunity. Then Congress amended what they called the Green Amendment. That came along and said to be a community action agency, you had to have a population base of 50,000 or more. And of course, none of those counties were that size. So these 3 small counties, Haskell, Latimer, and Leflore, got together, had a meeting, organized into what we now know as KI BOIS Community Action Foundation. And that was in December of 1968, is when that happened. They hired Earl Jeffrey as their first director, and the offices were in Wilburton. And that wasn't very long after Earl took the job that he was drafted. And so he went off to the Air Force, and the board met and hired Jim Hall Jr. as the executive director.
Yes. And
Jim was the executive director until 1968 or 78 when he retired. So he's actually here almost 10 years, I guess, as executive director. And they hired Joy Roy, who was his assistant at the time, to be his or the interim director until he hired someone else. And the board met. They had 25 applicants, I think, and they had a kind of an all-night meeting deciding who to hire. But luckily, they hired me on my part.
We're so glad too. So
I hired by Jim Hall in December of 1968, shortly after they merged, and I was hired as Haskell County Director, and I did that for quite a while. I also worked in the manpower programs, and then in 1978 I became the Executive Director. In that time frame, Pittsburgh County had petitioned the board for membership, and they became our 4th county. So at that time, there were 4 counties: Haskell, Larimer, Florida, Pittsburgh counties.
Right, right. Well, I'll tell you, we've seen a lot of growth since then, because we've since I have been here, and I'm going on 20 years, we've added Sequoia and Muskogee counties. So, I mean, the population that we are providing services to has grown tremendously. I mean, to like nearly 250,000 people that we could potentially offer services to, which is awesome. Okay, so so you, at that time though, you just had the four counties in 78. So you've mentioned Mr. Hall, and you've mentioned Jory Roy, mentioned Earl Jeffrey. Any other people that you worked with at that time who kind of made an impact on your early years? I know that you're going to say Becky Hickman, because she was the Head Start director. And anyone else at that time that really made an impact on how you ran the agency and helped you run the agency?
Yes. We were really fortunate to have some excellent board members back then, which we do now too. But we had 3 school superintendents, and Basil Ballantyne was the board chairman, and he was a great mentor to me. And I learned a lot from him. Farmer Juan was who operated the first Head Start program in Oklahoma at Cola Public Schools when he was superintendent there. And Kenny Monroe, in the Head Start area, Reba Dunn was a great Head Start director. Joey Roy was Head Start director for a while. Becky Hickman, and of course Donna Carlin's was a great Head Start director for us. Pardon me, I've got sinus strains. Just many people that I worked with were great. I learned from every one of them. I learned from some what not to do.
Right.
And,
Right.
Most of them what would work.
For sure, we have had excellent board members from the get-go.
That's key to an agency working properly.
Yeah.
If you had a board that wouldn't let you do anything, then your agency is going to dry up and blow away. But I had good support from board members. I had good staff. I've been really careful about hiring good quality people. I think that's really important in an agency. I don't like to terminate people, and so I try to do my screening up front and hire people I think would do a great job, and try to then give them the freedom to do their job and not nitpick everything they do. And if they do make mistakes, I try to call them in private and talk to them and try to improve how they do.
Carroll, that has been proven over the years, because under your leadership, I mean, the folks that you have hired have stuck with this agency. I mean, we have so many folks that have been here 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 years. I mean, it's just almost unheard of for people to work and have that longevity anymore. I mean, it proves just how wonderful a place to work that KI BOI is. And part of that reason is, and I've said it so many times, is we can lay our head down on our pillow at night and know that we've made a difference in people's lives. And, that piece of the puzzle, plus, having an agency that is so good to work for. I mean, it's the total package. It's the total package, and that is great. Okay, so let's go back to 1978. Your office, was it at the courthouse or at the community center at that time?
When Mr. Hall took over the programs in 1968, he moved the office from Wilburton back to Stigler because that's where he lived. And the board really didn't care where the central office was at that time. And so I recall a space in the courthouse basement, which was probably 30 foot by 20 foot. And we didn't have any petitions. The desk would just spread out through the office. We didn't need an intercom.
Right.
You know, everybody in there could do. Of course, we didn't have a large staff at that time, and the program was operated out of there for a long, long time, out of the basement of the courthouse.
Yeah. All right. And I know that several times the office has moved until we are now at our current location at 200 Southeast A, right behind the courthouse. So we haven't moved that far, Carroll, just across.
No, we've been close.
But I mean, all over town. And we've got this great facility that we work in now. Can you imagine having all of these people that work here now in that little space down in the basement of the courthouse? I mean, it couldn't work. I mean, it just couldn't. But that, again, that shows the growth in our agency over the years. I mean, it's just a tremendous asset to Southeastern Oklahoma. Of course, you know, I love to toot our horn, but it needs to be tooted. I mean, we are a major player in the lives in the lifestyle that our people have. I mean, not only for the services that we provide, but the economic impact of it. I mean, we employ a lot of people, and it's just great. Okay.
I think I haven't counted up lately, but I think we have about a little over 100 locations right now that we're operating in our 6-county area, and of course, our transit agency is operating in 12 counties, and we operate our veterans program in almost half the state. So we are touching a lot of people's lives right now.
Lots of people.
This period of COVID, it's been amazing to me that stream of people we've had come in, hundreds of people that, you know, they can't pay their rent, they don't have food,
and it's work. And it's people who have never accessed services before.
That's true.
They have not had to do that. So,
and we've been fortunate to get enough COVID money that we've been able to help most of those people.
Right.
I think there's 120,000 people right now in Oklahoma that's drawing unemployment. So, you know, it's a tough deal. The oil patch is down. It's a sad situation that we're in right now with COVID.
It really
we're having to operate under the COVID regulations, you know, to be safe, to keep our staff safe and keep our clients safe. So it's just an added burden right now in trying to operate the programs that we're operating. But we're able to overcome most of the problems that we've had.
Right. Okay. So I know that you are a CCAP, a Certified Community Action Professional. Do you have any other state or national certifications behind your name?
Just as far as community action, you know, that CCAP designation, and that's we have 14 of them in our agency, which is really unheard of for an agency to have that many nationally certified. Charlotte's certified in the transit area, and we had people that were certified in the Head Start area nationally. I've served as our state association president for 6 or 7 years, I think, different times, held all the offices there, served on our regional association, which is 5 states. Served there as secretary for many years and other positions, and served on national committees.
And that's Region 6, and that's this little the area around Oklahoma, Texas.
It's Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Mexico.
Right. Well, that's great. Well, I'll tell you, I'm a CCAP also, and you know, that was a tough thing to do. I mean, it's a year-long process, and you have to take this. For those that you don't know about it, you have to take it's about a half-a-day test. And when I left that testing site, I would have sworn I had flunked the test. And I thought, I'm going to be the first one at Cowboy that flunked this. But luckily I didn't. And I remember saying, I never want to even take as much as a blood test anymore. It's tough.
It's a tough deal. You know, I went through graduate school at OU and through 4 years at OSU. And
yeah,
it's very comparable to.
It was, but you know, you talked about the Economic Opportunity Act, you know, Johnson and all of that history. That is one thing that CCAP did, and personally for me, is it gave me an insight as to what these folks back in the early days, they did not have it easy. And they, you know, learning the history and the development of our code of ethics and the way things go. I mean, I was so glad that I went through that because, you know, I have dedicated my career now to community action. And the more that I know about that, I think it just helps me to do my job better. I mean, it's a great certification, and I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to do that. Let's talk about your leadership skills and the way that you lead. I know that you promote self-leadership, and so do you think that that is the reason? And you kind of talked about it earlier, and I believe it is. That's the reason that KI BOI has been so successful. You putting those folks in those positions and let them self-lead, and then you come in and mentor and you know, redirect if needed. But basically, they get to run their programs. Correct?
Right. That's right. Anytime you nitpick everything they do, you're not letting their creativity show, and that's really, really important because everybody's got a little bit different way of doing things. And if you can work on their strengths, you know, as leaders, and they may all lead in a little bit different way, I think and give them confidence that, you know, that they're doing a great job. And we do a lot of bragging on people in this agency because they need to be bragged on. They're doing great things. We have professionals here. I'm just really, really proud of our staff.
And since COVID and since March, we have never stopped providing services.
That's true.
I've had to change the way that we're doing things, but we've not shut down at all.
We've adjusted and moved forward.
That's right. Okay. Well, you know, President Johnson declared the war on poverty in 1964, over 50 years ago. And in 2020, we're still fighting that war on poverty. Do you think that we are closer to winning that war today than we'll say in 2010? Do you think that we're any closer, Carroll?
Well, a lot more resources have been put forth, you know, to help people, but this country is still full of a lot of poor people, and I think we're maybe in racial equality. We may be doing a little bit better job than we did back in the early days. I think I know when I first went to work here, there were no black people in Haskell County except in the Louisville area there west of Kenton. And we were able in our agency to start bringing people into Stigler to work. And I think we were first to hire black people here in Haskell County. And of course, we have a wonderful Indian population, you know, in our agency, and especially the Cherokees and the Choctaw tribes, and we have other tribes too in our area. But, and we work really closely with them, and we work real close with the educational system. I served on the school board here at Stigler for 15 years, and I hope that I was able to contribute to, you know, to a better job of operating our public schools here. And then I have been on Carl Albert Board of Regents for the last 21 years, and I really have enjoyed that. But those kind of relationships really help our agency, the people we work with, and hand in hand with different kinds of programs. I think that's been really great too.
Yes, our collaborations that we have with tribes, with
Yeah.
DHS, the health departments, we're very involved in the local service coalitions in our area. I am a person, I've always said, I don't think you can know too many people, because we do a lot of things at KI BOI, but we don't do everything. And so we, our outreach workers, we're always, trying to put together service directories, resource directories, so that our outreach workers will know if someone comes in with a need, we do not say no to them. We don't do that. We may say we don't do that, but there is someone out there that does. And so we point them in the right direction. And I said here, it's probably been about a year ago, people call us, it's almost like we're the answering service for the area. And I referred to us as being Ma Bell. And one of our younger employees did not know who I was talking about.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
so, and we really are. We're information central, and I'm proud that we are. We can redirect and we can call, because we know these people. We can get on the telephone and call them and say, listen, we have this person in our office, and because they know who we are and what we stand for, you get things done a lot easier, because and it's because of our collaborations and us being involved in the communities, for sure. And I think, back to that question, I think because of that, and because of even social media, and communication is so much easier now, I think that we may be a little farther in the war on poverty than we were 10 years ago, for sure. Yeah, so
I remember when I first started out, there was a lot of turf issues,
yeah.
And so I worked with the board pretty closely that we not duplicate services, that we not be in competition with people out here that are trying to help people, that we all stand back to back, trying to work together and that was a tough deal for a while, because you could really get into it with another agency if they thought you were, on their turf, doing something they were doing,
right.
But it worked out pretty good. I think we had really good cooperation with all of our.
And Carol, our services are driven by what the needs are in the community.
That's true.
And we do our community needs
We
assessment.
do that community needs survey
every year, and we compile the top 10, and we look to see, are these services being offered in the community, and if they are, we point the people to that agency. If they're not, we may try to implement that within our office. That's just the way it works. I mean, it's driven by what the needs are here in our communities. All right. Well, we're about to wrap this up, Carol. We're, like I said earlier, we're a major player in social services in Eastern Oklahoma. Okay, let's look in the next. I mean, sometimes it's hard to look in the next day or two, but let's just project in the next year or 2 years. What do you see on the horizon with continuing to do services? Do you see us adding more programs or services, or maybe just the ones that we are administering here, maybe to ramp those up? What do you see kind of on the horizon for college?
The last few years, I have really tried to not grow necessarily, but to improve our quality. And it's hard to not grow, because people see what we're doing and they want us to expand into their area. And I would rather do that in a cooperative manner rather than us going in and taking over more territory. But to me, I think if we can improve what we're doing every day, and I I think that's probably the direction that we need to move forward.
Great. Great. All right, Carroll, it's been a pleasure today to visit with you. I know the folks out there are going to enjoy watching this and you know, learn more about your history with KI BOI and you know, your stand on the things of the past, even and for our future, and it's just been wonderful. And I wish you and your family a Merry Christmas for sure. But before we go, I always play a little game with the the folks that I'm interviewing, and it's a kind of a rapid fire question. one answer answers, and I always say I'm not going to have you reveal any deep dark secrets or anything like that, but it's just kind of a fun thing to do. So we're going to go over a few of those right now. Okay, Carroll, what color is your toothbrush that you're using right now?
I think it's green.
A green one? All right. What celebrity annoys you the most? Or are there several?
I'm not a lot on celebrities, so I don't know just one particular one.
All right, I'll take that. On a scale of 1 to 10, how cool are you?
How cool am I?
How cool are you?
I'm probably a stick in the mud. I'd say about 6.
Oh, now I'll increase that a little bit. You're cool, dude.
You know, when I was growing up, Royce, I was the smallest, skinniest, toe-headed kid around. I was the last one picked for, you know, the ball teams and all of that. So I wouldn't say I'd be too high on that list.
You're not the Fonz?
No.
Okay, if you were stranded on a tropical island, what 2 things would you want with you?
Food and water, for sure.
Food and water. You can't take Lana because you're stranded out there alone. But so you need food and water. I mean, you know, survival. You got to have survival skills, right? What is your favorite song of all time?
I listen to all your gospel songs, and I hear one, I say, oh, that's my favorite, and then another one comes along. My favorite, but I just think gospel songs are
maybe the Old Rugged Cross or Amazing Grace. Yeah, I know.
I was raised in a Baptist church, and those old hymns just really get to me.
You cannot beat them. You just cannot. And you know,
I'm a country and western fan too. You know,
me too.
I like Willie Nelson and Garth Brooks and all the old country and western singers.
Me too. You know, talking about gospel, I mean, this next generation is really losing out by not knowing these hymns and these hymn books. And so I said, it's left up to us to keep them fresh in folks' minds. You know,
that's true.
They've lasted through the generations. Who is the last person you went to dinner with?
My wife.
Where'd y'all go?
We went to Gino's Italian in Muskogee.
Ooh, I love it. That's a great place. Okay, do you like sunrises or sunsets?
I like them both, but I'm an early riser.
Yeah.
And I think the mornings are really beautiful.
They're fresh.
My wife loves sunsets, so it balances out pretty good.
Yeah. It seems like sunrise, I mean, everything's fresh. I mean, it's like everything has rested, you know, and so everything is starting new that day, right?
I guess my military background probably creates that, but I don't have a problem getting up early and doing things.
Up at 3 in the morning, and you had to wait 3 or 4 hours for the sun to come up, right? Okay, what chore do you hate doing the most? What chore? Like mowing the lawn or raking leaves or the dishes or?
You know, one of the things I hated in my life was when I first got in the military and I was a private, was picking up other people's cigarette butts.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I never did smoke, And for me to go out there and pick up something that somebody threw away,
Yeah.
you know,
Just on the ground.
I just hated to do that.
Yeah.
I
well,
did
it's
it.
littering.
I didn't want to do it.
It's littering. You know, I know that the Yab kids, when they were around, they would go to Roy Park and pick up cigarette butts. It was unbelievable, the trash bags full that they would have.
It's crazy.
So, it's littering for sure. Okay, Carroll, if you won $1 million, what would you buy?
I don't know of one item that I would buy. I believe I would. I've always wished I could win the lottery because I would like to build a new grade school, and I'd like to donate to our church and my college and give KI BOIS money and those
See,
kind
that's
of things.
just that's
I pretty much have what I want in life. You know, my wife and I live comfortably, and so I'd like to be able to help, you know,
give back
some areas, you know, that I could. Yeah.
I would too. I would do the same thing. I mean, I would buy stuff, but I would also, you know, contribute back.
Oh, I might buy a new car or a new pickup or something like that. But
give back to this community that's been so good to me. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. How can you tell if someone is a nerd?
Oh, you know, I don't know. I've got a lot of good friends that are nerds that I really do like. I mean, you know, you can probably look in their pocket, and if you can see a whole bunch of pens up here in their pocket, that's a pretty good sign. Not always.
They used to have pocket protectors, you know, and boy, people would have several ink pens. I know there was a guy from Kyoto that worked at Western Auto. I can't remember what his name was, but he always had a pocket protector with ink pens in it. They don't
in this day of computers and everything, you know, you need nerds to work with you.
And I'm not saying that Dale was a nerd, but I mean, that's what I thought of for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the best meal you've ever had?
Oh, mercy. My wife is a wonderful cook, and she has cooked me some wonderful meals, but it's pretty hard to beat red beans and fried potatoes and bread and iced tea, onion.
I knew it.
Maybe tomato thrown in there.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I knew that's what your answer was going to be. And I'm with you on that one for sure. All right, one more. What is the best advice that you can give to someone who just started their career?
Learn to listen. You know, if we can't learn to listen, we can't learn from others, and that's how we move forward. But you know, I think the best advice, and I know some people are going to make fun of me for saying this, but we're just passing through this earth that we're on.
Yes.
And if we don't learn early on where we're going to spend eternity and plan for that, you know, that's probably one of the most important decisions we can make in our life.
Absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly. All right, Carroll, thank you so much for this. I've enjoyed it today. I know the folks out there are going to enjoy it. Thank you for all of your years of service to KI BOIS Community Action. This side of heaven, Carroll, you're not going to know, I'm not going to know what an impact that we have made on our communities. But I'm thankful that someday we're going to know. Amen.
Amen. We've been fortunate to be able to do the Lord's work and get paid for it.
That's exactly right. That's right. Merry Christmas to you, and I appreciate you so much.
Merry Christmas to everyone listening out here and watching. Okay.
All right. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.